Good evening, family. Tonight, you're tuned in again to the Journey 2020. We're glad you could join us this Friday night and hope that this time will not be a waste of your time. We know that it won't because I have a wonderful co-host along with me. Well, just to introduce myself, I'm Dr. John Robertson, psychologist here in Orlando, Florida, and the aforementioned co-host is the imperturbable Mr. Charles Morris. Charles?
Okay, I got a question. How many syllables is that?
Actually 4.
Okay, well, yeah, at least now I know. Welcome to the Journey 2020. I'm Charles Morris, and thank you for joining us here coming at the end of summer. A lot been going on.
Wow, yeah.
A lot been going on in 2015. It's like, wow. We will talk about Julian Bond as well, but so much been going on from the elections and so on and so forth. But all the stuff that's been going on, this is kind of a carryover from last week's show. I did get a few comments as we were talking about
oh yes,
Mr. Cosby. The funny thing was,
well, can I do this because you know I really feel before we
well I just want to touch on something, then I'm going to let you do what you want to do, but I just want to say this.
Okay,
yeah, right.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The funny thing is that when we started talking and then the comments started coming, and the show that I wanted to be more about even today as we talk about who we are versus who Bill Cosby may be, or Jared may be from Subway, or how we placed them where we placed them, because in reality we don't know them.
Yeah,
we don't. But our society and our culture place these people in a position in which they try to make them be something that they're not, and then we become disappointed when the real person comes out. And so with that, that's part of what I really wanted to talk about last week as well as today, because of who we are, not who we find out who they really are. So I think it's more on us than it is them.
Exactly.
You know. But anyway, I'll let you.
Before we get into it, and we have 2 lovely guests who have been partners on our program before, Mr. Vince Carter, okay, welcome, Brother Vince, and Dr. Ada, you know, my good friend, Dr. Ada Krause, okay. And one of the reasons that I had started interjecting with Charles is that we have lost this week one of the giants in our civil rights history, and that is the Honorable Julian Bond. Many in the younger generation may not have a clue as to who Julian Bond was, and he died this past Wednesday, I believe. And interestingly, Charles, here in Fort Walton, Florida, where he had been ailing, for some time. But Julian Bond, who was, as the brothers used to say, light and bright and damn near white, who could have, with his tall, someone would call it gangly appearance, very light skinned back in the day, could have been one of the folks that white folks invited to dinner, because it was one of those quote unquote presentable Negroes, okay? Well, Julian, who by the way was a Morehouse man, and who started the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And for you young people who may not know what SNCC was, as the acronym was called, I'm going to ask you to look it up, to Google or Wikipedia, etc., because SNCC very much was the equivalent of what the student segment of Black Lives Matters is today. And in many ways, they, in their organization, and that was one of the things about SNCC, was that they were very organized. And they moved from being, was a very, what we used to call back in the day, a militant stance, moved to ones where they became totally politically engaged. Julian Bond, in addition to being the one of the founding members of SNCC, was also the founder of the Southern Poverty Law Center. And that organization is the one, again, look it up, folks, that took on, and among many things, the Ku Klux Klan. And most effectively, cut the Ku Klux Klan through civil action, through law, through court rulings, basically cut the legs out by being able to have the Ku Klux Klan fined so much that they just couldn't operate. They took the financial source away. Julian Bond led the Southern Poverty Law Center for many years. In addition to that, he was, and some of us who have a few years on us may remember him as the head of the NAACP for, I believe, over 15 years or so. And he led the NAACP through many of the legal battles in the 70s, 80s, and up into the 90s. He had an option, and after that, he was a state legislator in Georgia. And at the time, with Georgia, with it still going through its transition into the 21st century, often was a lonely figure because the white legislators just did not think that he ought to be there sitting in their hallowed halls and being able to make law the way that they had been for many, many years. Moreover than that, more so, he was a writer, a poet, and a family man. He has 5 children now from his first marriage that are all, from what I understand, doing well. So that's just a little bit about Julian Bond, civil rights hero. I would say to you, as we discuss some of our other topics tonight, that in contrast to perhaps what saddens us and has us sometimes shaking our heads to say, back in the day, black folks just didn't do that, But when we look at some of our best and our brightest, I think we can all take pride that, Julian Bond was of us and with us and with the people. And particularly someone who could have chosen, to go ahead and do his thing. So those of you who wonder why there is a need and why some people decide to be activists, like many of the young people in the Black Lives Matter movement, the motivation that drives them is the motivation that comes from giants that have formed their history, a giant like Julian Bond. So I just thought I'd share that as we start our program. And Charles, as they say, now let's get down to the nitty gritty. Okay.
Well, like I was saying, a couple of feedbacks that I got, and the first question was we're talking about his innocence or guilt. And I didn't reply in a sense, and I started to say, if it walks like a duck, smells like a duck, quack like a duck, fly like a duck, maybe it's a duck. But that wasn't the essence of, again, the conversation, because let's just say I wanted to believe Beverly Johnson. And so why shouldn't I believe Beverly Johnson? Okay. So if Beverly Johnson said something happened, why can't I believe Beverly Johnson? And it's not that I'm not a of Bill Cosby. It's not that I'm not a fan, because one of the conversations that I was having was, I admire Bill Cosby for what he accomplished. I admired what he has done because he has done so much in so many ways. But at the same time, when things happen, it's not surprising because he's a human being. And again, I don't know him. I know his accomplishments. I know that he can put together a very good television show. I know he can do Fat Albert really great and come up with all these characters. That I do know about him. But I know nothing about him other than that.
Exactly.
In his, in his accomplishments. But when things come to light, I'm not surprised, because as many birthdays that I've had and the things that I've seen in my lifetime, people are people, and there's nothing new under the sun. And so when these things happen, all of a sudden people act as if though, I don't know. Of course you're disappointed, okay? But again, there's nothing new under the sun. Whether he did, if he didn't, I wouldn't be surprised. That's all I'm saying. Then to go back to, because the email that you sent me, I was reading the email, and actually I should pull it up because I wanted to kind of ask you something about it, because our version, because I kept saying I wish that you were here because we wanted a female version of what we were talking about. And so Vincent, maybe you could help me out, because I was talking in reference to the guy and the girl. Okay, and I said, I get wanting to get the girl. I get wanting to get the girl. I get the male ego. I get the thing, so, well, I'm Bill Cosby. I'm this guy. Let's just say I'm this guy. I got money, I got fame, I got fortune, so therefore I'm Donald Trump. I got that kind of ego. Okay, I get that. But where we were talking with Dr. Robinson, even though we got onto the part about the molestation of children, and I said, well, yeah, but a child versus an adult, and not that one is worse than the other, but there's something about when you deal with a child. Okay, it's not that you don't have compassion or understand how wrong you are, but when you dealing with a child, that's even more a line that you don't cross, where you be like, well, let's just take him out in the back and just shoot this one. Period. But the whole thing of getting the girl, okay, now the men are, we can kind of understand getting the girl. So I was talking about, okay, well, I get the part of, okay, I want to get with Beverly Johnson. Yeah, I want to get with Beverly Johnson. Okay. But the whole concept of my game plan is, I gotta drug you to get you. So that's the part where the male getting the girl, where I can't because part of, now this is my personality, part of getting the girl is the feedback from her, the conversation, the touch, whatever that is. Because my ego, the way my ego is, this is a memorable moment for both of us. That's how my ego rolls. Okay, so that's part of getting the girl. So when I'm finished with the girl and she like this right here, that don't do nothing for me, because that don't play into getting the girl. But I also understand whatever that is, and to talk about it, whatever, fine. But it's more of us and where we place people that we really don't know, because they're out there on the screens, they're out there, whether or not his records, and just being a celebrity, regardless of him or anybody else. Because they can be crazy, very good at what they do. And history has shown that. These people who are very artistic and and you come to find out later, go, ooh, what?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think it's more on us And it's sad, but there's nothing new under the sun. So that's where I was coming from.
But Madison Avenue plays a large part in this, because Madison Avenue builds this person to be something, an icon for you to relate to, that relates to other issues, socially, economically, for you to attach yourself. So if this particular person is wearing this particular cologne and or driving this kind of car and so on, they want you to attach to that. That's just basic marketing. That's what that is. Now, what happens is we begin to like the person who's presenting that particular, representing that product, and we want to believe that he or she is clean because of the image that they portray. And a lot of times, their acting careers, in our mind, mimic who they really are. When a lot of times that's not at all who they are. Because I've heard actors say, "That's not who I am. That's the character I play."
Right.
But we don't understand that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to admit this on this program, and maybe I hope it doesn't come back to bite me. But I'm a soap opera guy.
Oh, okay.
I watch soap
Okay. Hey,
and have been for a number of years.
okay.
Okay. And over the years, accidentally, I've met some of those actors. And in my own little naive mind, I saw them as the character that I knew them to be. And I caught them at an off moment. I was in Atlanta in a hotel, and one of the persons they were having breakfast. And I went over as an enthusiastic fan. And, you know, they related to me as to who they were, not to whom I thought they were.
Right. Okay.
So I came away with a different feel. Well, then I realized, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't feel like being bothered with me. So back to your point, we are disappointed because we put people in boxes. But who do we really know in the public eye?
Right.
We don't know anybody in the public
Right.
eye.
Exactly. Yeah.
That because they're there, we give them a rite of passage, saying, okay, if you are able to start a career and reach this height, I'm going to have to assume, because you did get here, that you're a decent person. Well, let's go back. Yeah. Well, let me finish. It is an assumption, but what happens is, what we don't understand is, somewhere during that climb, there are things that were brushed aside, not spoken of, put behind, because of the impact that they have. So, I think we're right to be. I think it's a human dynamic in my mind to be disappointed about my particular person, only because of my attachment with them as the celebrity or the icon that I see them, not the real person. Because I don't know the real person. The person I know is the person I see that come on TV every day.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, when you get a chance, now I know for me personally, in sports and in music, where I've had an opportunity to meet athletes and musicians, they are different. They are different. Now, some of them are not sociable. Some of them are not. They don't have any communication skills.
Right.
You know, they're people.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
people. And you catch them at and then I remember myself. I consider myself to be very sociable, but you catch me at my lowest point. I'm not quite as sociable. So we kind of caught in a circle ourselves for looking to be able to attach to that thing over there without realizing that it's not real. But it's soothing to us.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you look at a Bill Cosby. I'm a huge Cosby fan.
Yeah.
Have been for a number of years. Been close to meeting him, never had the opportunity. But nevertheless, always been a fan. And I'm disappointed because of my expectation of what I thought he was, and may still be. I don't know. I've heard some things recently that I'm thinking, that's not helpful. You know, that doesn't sound real good to me.
Right.
I mean, you know,
Right.
If you did that was, ooh, Bill.
Hey.
I mean, come on, Bill. I mean, but okay, prove it until, you know, innocent until proven guilty. Even though it looks like you're going that way.
Right.
But I'm looking at him saying, okay, and I think with your point earlier, I celebrate or attach myself to the accomplishments that I know from him. That's what I am. Now, I'm still attached to that because that's how I know him.
Right.
But these most recent events, I'm like, man, I'm disappointed that it happened to you. Or if you did actually do this, gee, Bill, why? Okay, I'm asking all those kinds of questions.
Exactly.
Because I'm disappointed. Now, let me take you on the other side. Joe Blow down the block. I could care one way or the other.
Yeah.
While I think the moral issue stands out, you're wrong for what you did.
Of course.
Okay, I disagree with that, but I don't have the relationship because I don't know you,
Right.
and I'm not a fan of yours.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
So that's the social and mental attachment that we have.
Right.
I'd like to address something that you brought up about not knowing him. We all act out in different ways
Yes.
depending on the situation and the circumstances. I'm going to act different in the workplace.
Oh, for
I'm
sure.
going to act different with family members. I'm going to act different around certain friends. Not that we change our whole persona as extreme as we see that Bill Cosby has, but we are not always portrayed as the same way, especially as you pointed out with the actors. Okay, when you saw them away from the movie screen and from filming the soap opera, I'm sure once the cameras went off, they went back to being
Who they are.
somewhat who they are.
Mhm.
But I want to say too that sometimes we don't really have a deep understanding of who we really are because, again, I can piggyback off something else that you alluded to is the fact that some of what Bill Cosby exhibited in his deviant behaviors was created.
Yes.
Was
Yes.
supported.
That's a good point.
It was.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well,
yeah.
to your point, real
Mhm.
quick,
Yes.
and that was something that Charles, I'm glad you brought that up. Where did he get that kind of power? It was given to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Given to him.
Right.
So now I'm a young actress, if you will.
Yes.
I see a way for me to get to where I'm going.
Yes.
Here's how I get there.
Right.
Okay. Now, so who gave him that kind of power? We gave it to him, or
course
the
we
industry
did.
gave it
The
to him.
industry.
The industry
Yeah.
gave him that power. So and now we go deep into the psychology of the person. I don't know how
Yes.
well he handles
Yeah.
that kind of power. You know, absolute power
Corrupts
corrupts absolutely.
absolutely.
You know,
Yeah,
and
corrupts
now he's been in the
yeah.
industry for a number of
Oh
years.
yes. Yes.
We some super height,
Mm-hmm.
and I looked at him and said, "How would that affect me?"
Yeah.
I think for a moment I would probably go on over on the deep end, try to come back real quick,
Yeah.
but you can't help it.
Yeah.
You know, and they're just giving him more and more. So that's kind of, and I'm not by any means saying that he's not wrong, even for the idea of doing that, because I think that's an act against another human being. I'm struggling with that part.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
I think, to your point, the power of it all
Yes.
makes
Yeah.
me think I can get away with it.
Yeah,
And we
exactly.
see that in life other than just this particular
Right,
situation.
exactly.
So I think that's an extra point you made.
Yeah.
And just to, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
just to
that's okay.
put a exclamation point on that, when you think about how our society, and again, I'm not taking responsibility away from the individual,
Right.
Oh, absolutely
because
not.
it comes
Yeah.
to the individual.
Yeah.
But there are certain circumstances, certain ways that societies deal with the enhancing power, as in when it was thought that the monarch, was the next thing to God, and could basically snap a finger and
Right.
somebody's head would be gone.
Right.
Right.
It was through some rebellious little guys that said, "Hold time, wait a minute now. Who gave you the right to snap your finger and my head is gone?" And so, part of the thing that precisely to what you were saying,
Yeah.
that some powers that be gave someone like a Bill Cosby, a Donald Trump, or whoever we want to name that power. At the same time, and this gets back to our responsibility, as if we want to call it little people, that we also have a responsibility of knowing that everybody basically has to eliminate, and I'm going to put it that way because it's a family show, in the same way.
Right.
Right.
And to also say, and when we eliminate, our stuff tends to be rather aromatic.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
Yeah, right, yes, yes.
It is a family show.
Right.
I like it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, yes.
But we try and also keep it real. Okay?
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Yeah.
So, my point is that in many ways, yes, and I want to relate it back to this thing with the Black Lives Matters movement. Many people are upset because they are upstaging the presidential candidates as they're doing their presentations. And my upbringing, part of it says, well, you need to be polite. There's a place for that.
Yes, it
But
is.
at the same time, I said, they actually did get some of these folks to move off of the balance board and saying a lot and not saying anything, and
Yeah.
now having to put some straight language in their platform. So what does that have to do with a Bill Cosby, et cetera? That if, as in back in the day, folks came back to the black community, even though they may have reached a lot of heights, folks would be able to say, listen, brother, I knew you when.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay? And I know your mama, I know your daddy. I knew when you wet your bed. Okay? I knew you.
Yeah.
Just as we were talking, we don't
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
many of these folks. Okay?
Yeah.
And again, that was then, this is now.
Right.
But I
right.
think that we still have some responsibility
Yes.
of balancing that intoxication
Yes.
with power,
Yeah.
with a sense that, listen, sometimes you need to come home and be spoken to like you in the kitchen. Okay? We, in many ways, because we have grown into this super media, super celebrity society that believes that somebody with a big behind is automatically a celebrity because they have that big behind, even though that's been a history and a characteristic of much of our community,
Yes, yes.
historically over time. But to your point, Vince, that big behind was wonderfully marketed.
Yes.
Okay, so that now it has become a cultural icon.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, and think about it now. An asset that does nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like we need to be talking with Sir Mix-a-Lot? I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
Listen, there's nothing, but has a natural elimination. Now has propelled somebody to superstardom.
But see, that's what I'm saying about. I think when you look at the total thing again,
money goes wrong.
I don't. Madison Avenue is doing its job.
Yeah,
it is definitely doing its job.
Right.
And we help it by dreaming and by attaching ourselves to dreams that we think are real, and that's what
Yeah.
marketing is about.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so Madison Avenue has found a way to take the most common thing, thing that's most natural that we know about, that is common within the neighborhood,
Right.
and make it unique.
Right.
But there's many more just like it.
Right,
But
exactly.
we're gonna take this one, and all of a sudden this is the best of the best.
Right.
Okay, that's okay if that's what you believe.
Right.
But where I come from, no, there's one over here better than that.
Right.
I see two or three more.
Right. Exactly.
So it's a part of what you want to believe and where you want. But let me take you. Let me take this thing around
Go ahead,
another corner.
go ahead.
Okay. Tom Brady, the wonder child, could do no wrong. Now, you look at that. So do we know Tom Brady? Now I know people say, well, that's a tremendous difference between he and Bill Cosby. Wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Now,
Yeah.
Bill has done harm to some people.
Yeah.
Brady has too.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has too.
Exactly.
And now, how do you look at that? Do you say a lesser of two evils? I'm not sure I look at that. A lie is a lie. A wrongdoing is a wrongdoing. I don't care who commits it. So they're arguing about a point when it has been, and I'm going to go by what I'm reading and say that they're convinced it's real, what are we talking about? You did it. What is the conversation? How punishment has been levied. Why are we discussing this anymore? Because we don't want to ruin his image. Really? He ruined his own image.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, so then you come back around to Bill and say the same thing. Now, by him coming out, I was confused when he admitted that he did have some drugs early. That kind of threw me off a little bit, and I'm like, okay, Bill, if so, why are you talking about this now? But whatever. I'm not defending him.
Right.
I'm a little bit confused.
Well, to put it into context, as I understand it, that his statement actually was admitted from my understanding in 2005.
Yes.
Okay. And that he was testifying, I believe, under oath.
Yes.
But I also believe did not think that was going to come to light.
Oh, probably not.
Okay.
I don't think there's any way he could have imagined that of all the things that he would face, this would be one that he would become coming. You know, I mean, maybe one allegation is maybe
right.
Okay, and I don't minimize that, but one.
Yeah, you want to say.
See, and this is the other part that to me that kind of makes me 25.
Wait a minute. The latest
40.
number.
Okay,
no.
plus.
Hold on.
Yes.
The latest number is up to 50.
Oh,
at this
50.
point.
Okay, well let me just be honest with you.
Yeah.
Come on, Bill. How old a man is Bill?
78.
But I don't. That doesn't. It wouldn't surprise me if it was 200.
Well, Chamberlain said he was with, and he wasn't drugging.
Well,
over 100 women.
No.
Well, I think that comes to Charles's point.
No, he was. Chamberlain said he was with over 13,000 women. Okay,
the other number,
right, 13, which is, I can understand that.
If that's what you do.
I'm saying I can understand that because again, it goes back to the celebrity.
Yeah.
And again, when I was saying, and I can understand Chamberlain more so than Bill because Chamberlain said I can get the girl.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And we're both communicating before, during, and after.
Okay.
Well, okay, look at Hugh Hefner. What's the difference?
Right.
Hefner's the same thing.
Right.
And he was glorified.
Right.
Yes, he was.
And made into an icon.
Right.
Over the same, and built an industry.
And then I also said, what is the 15? When I said, what is the 15-year-old girl doing at the Playboy Mansion? Because one of the girls that he was with, she was saying she was 15 at the Playboy Mansion. And I'm like, what the 15? But anyway.
It's Playboy Mansion.
Right.
And now that Jared, which but watching CNN today, it's kind of like he was, in a way, he had admitted, and I think based on somebody who knew what was going on, came out and said he evidently, his spirit, they're assuming that he wanted to get this behind him because he was feeling guilty. That's because he has admitted to this.
Yeah.
And so again, my thing is, I think it has more to do with who we are as human beings and our nature versus now I have power, so therefore I have my own laws, and it goes back to who we are spiritually and how we deal with what I can do and can't do when I can kind of write my own path in the way that I'm above, and it plays into that ego part. So I think it has more to do with that than it does anything else, because as they say, when you become wealthy and rich, it just really enhances who you are.
Right.
So to me, it's not surprising, because I always say, if you understand the nature of man, you will understand a lot about who we are, because we're extremely self-centered. We're all these things that's about who we are, what we want, and what I feel that I should be able to get away with. There's a law written for you, but it's just not quite for me because of who I am. Okay, and I should be able to do this just because of who I am. And I think that is in us all, but what to degree?
Yeah.
Because there's things that I can understand, because there's thoughts that people in this room would never share with other people. It's just a
Right.
thought.
That's true.
That's all it is. It's just a
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's some people that will carry out that thought.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
it. I mean, I may drive by a bank and go, "Boy, if I could get away with robbing that bank," but I would never do it. Okay, but it's just a thought.
Right.
Okay, so it's kind of like what Pastor Jenkins said. Pastor said, when you pray to God, you don't need to let everybody hear your prayers. When you're talking to God, that's between you and Him,
Right.
because now people
Yeah.
start using it against you, and
Right.
people are like, ooh, you know, because
Right.
that's how we are.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't think it's kind of like I was watching Nancy Grace today, and she cracks me up. And again, it always, the funniest thing to me is when they always, like the 19 kids and counting, they came out today.
Duggar.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
doing. I guess he
Josh
was messing
Duggar.
with some kids and some other stuff, and da da da. So now that's off the air and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So now, you know. But what gets me is when, this is kind of off topic, but not off topic. But what gets me is when women sit around and they talk about men, and the first thing they say is, "Well, you got a nice looking wife," and da 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 da, which the majority of the time has absolutely nothing to do with why men fool around. But whatever it is in the psyche of a woman and their understanding of who we
Exactly.
are,
Yeah.
that's their
That's true.
understanding of. You
Right.
know, and we be looking like, "Oh, it nothing to do with it." Trust me. You know,
Yeah.
you know. But that whole thing of him. Again, it's where we put them,
Yeah.
and there's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I'd like to get Dr. Ada's point of view as
You
we're.
sure?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Well,
definitely.
see,
That's one of
see-
the
Oh,
reasons
I have
why.
so many.
Well,
Oh, good. No, go
and then, and then
In what context?
well,
Yeah.
you know what? I wish I don't
Yeah.
want to. I wanted to pull up your email, but
Yeah.
you already know what you said.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I know what I
Yeah.
said. I think like a woman.
Right.
Okay, and I can relate to what you just said, because you wonder, why isn't he at peace with himself? Why doesn't he love his life without having to exhibit all this aberrant behavior? And apparently that was some sort of pleasure that he got out of it, or some sort of rewards. Otherwise, he probably would have stopped if his conscience was intact and fully functioning. So that's what I'm thinking as a mental health clinician. He doesn't have a fully functioning conscience, because there are just some things that I would do. I couldn't live with Ada.
Right.
I couldn't. I would be tormented. I would even maybe thinking the thought. But self-discipline is a very powerful thing that keeps us from being like animals. I think that characteristic alone, if we're able to self-manage, and there's something that clinically deviant and very aberrant that was going on with him, regardless if it started when he was a child, it continued, and it was being fed by outside sources as well, because he got to the point where he wasn't even in control. If there was a self-steal that he could relate to, he was not in control, because I think the real person would have said, sooner or later, I'm going to get caught. But no, he did not think he was going to get caught. And to me,
But that's
that's
part of that
the
male
trick
ego.
of the ego.
Yeah, the ego. No, of
You
course not.
have really, ego turns against you. And
Right.
in the end, ego would turn around, kick your butt, and then tell you, I kicked your butt because you're so stupid that you did that. That's how ego works.
Right.
That's not
right.
only a male ego either.
No, no, no.
It's
Ego
true,
in
true.
itself.
Oh, it is. It's
Because
ego.
to your
I'm not.
point-
I'm not distinguishing it male or
no,
female.
but I mean,
yeah.
to your
Yeah.
point, it's just like a person, if you say a drug addicted person,
Yes, yes.
okay, male and or female, that
Right,
ego is
right,
still there
right.
because that drug
Yeah.
is in control.
The drug is in
That
control.
drug is in control.
Right,
And that
right,
drug
right.
makes you think,
Yeah.
I am untouchable.
And
But
I'm
that's
all
what
powerful.
I meant by our makeup, our human makeup.
Right.
Because that part of which God gave us in that ego, because we're so self-centered in the sense, but that's also part of what he gave us to survive. But I don't think we're as civilized as we claim to be. All you got to do is just watch the news every day and pick up the paper, read what, because we're not as civilized
No,
as we
we're
claim.
not.
You know,
No,
we, you know,
to
but
be as intelligent,
You
you
know.
would think. Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we're more civilized than
Yeah.
we are savage. I think we'll give it more opportunity to display our savageness because we're so relaxed in what we will accept. Look at television at one time. You had a couple in a bedroom. They were in two separate beds.
Huh.
Okay, husband and wife.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then we moved on, and then all of a sudden everybody in the same room in the same bed. Then we introduced homosexuality as a norm. Okay, giving again more room for deviant behavior to feel more comfortable that I'm in an environment that I can function. I don't have to hide as much. So that's what I think we are intelligent but savage.
Yeah.
We're intelligent enough to be savage
Yeah.
at the right time.
Yeah, and smart
See,
enough
that's
to
what
make
you was-
excuses
about
about
it
it
and
and
make it
justification
acceptable.
because we are our own worst enemies when it comes to justifying wrong.
Right.
We can make something wrong look like it's okay, and that's pretty much what we do as a society
As a
because
society.
we push in the envelope about the sexuality thing, yes,
But-
and we're acting like it doesn't matter. That
When it
now
does.
we can just show as much as we want to show, and then we can do 50 Shades of Grey, and it's okay. And we need to let little innocent little girls go see it, and then this is what they're expecting to happen in relationships
right.
and make it tolerable because they're so weak-minded. Because media is teaching them these things now that it's okay. We send in all these false messages.
But
and
bottom
we-
line for media, though, bottom line for media,
money.
money.
Okay.
They don't care anything about
No, they don't care
your
about
well-being.
money. No.
It's not about
No.
teaching these young girls.
No.
I get that's a butt in a seat
Yes.
in a theater.
Exactly.
That's all that matters.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
we again
Well,
going
my
back.
kid's not going to watch that. I'm a big exec in Paramount or Universal. My kids are not going to see that. I'm going to monitor what they watch, but yet I'm going to make all these films and feed all this trash. That's what I call it.
That's-
My sons will tell you, don't watch that trash in my house, okay? Because trash goes into you.
Sure.
There's consequences. There are results of whatever that you consume in your mind. You say that about the computer. You put junk in the computer,
gonna
what do
give
you
you junk-
expect?
give you junk back.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But
The
that
human
goes
being-
back to what
yeah.
you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
That again, you look at society, you look at where we are.
Yes.
The more we push the envelope,
Yes.
that we begin to legislate that it's okay. And Doc, you remember we were talking about legalizing marijuana? Okay, I heard all kind of justifications.
Right.
Some wasn't bad, but then it was that fine print that said, not that way. And we're not going to do it that way, but it's a good idea, but not like that.
Yeah.
So that's what happens, I think, in society. We begin to accept it because
Accept it,
I heard a
yeah.
long time ago, and I heard it in church. Said the more you accept it, the more regular it becomes. And I didn't quite understand it at the time, but I've seen it in my own lifetime.
Of
That
course.
we turn, well, that's okay if that's what he wants to do. No, wait a minute.
Yes.
Well, why? And so we push envelope. Then when it becomes economical,
Yes.
oh, and everybody's on board now because we don't care about the moral issue. It's about the money. And so again, society accepts it. Well, I'm uncomfortable, but it's a big seller. I saw
making
50
money.
Shades of Grey, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness.
I haven't seen it yet, and I'm
But
not gonna see
I
it.
had the opportunity to
Yeah,
watch
I
it,
really-
I wanna see it, yeah.
I couldn't help it. Everybody,
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Let me be
I'm not
honest.
going to condemn you.
Don't
bro.
condemn
I
me,
know,
because
I'm
I
gonna
wanted
sit
to
and watch
see
it,
what
too.
the-
I'm just not going to pay you $11 to go.
No,
see
no,
it,
I
okay?
saw it on video.
Oh, bootleg copy?
No, the
okay.
real copy.
All right, okay.
And I read part of the book.
okay.
But what I couldn't understand was all the excitement. The curiosity got the best of me. I think, let me see this. And I'm thinking, okay, I mean, depending upon how you look at it, yeah. Young kids, oh no.
Oh, no.
No. That's just stupid. Because
Yeah.
it gives a distort
It does.
version. And see, that's what a lot of time what we're looking at and what we're accepting.
Right.
We're saying it's okay. And maybe for you and I, the three of us, it might be okay because we look at it and say that's entertainment and you let it go. The other person embraces that. They think that's real. I must mimic that. That's how I have to live.
Yes. Yes.
That's where the problem starts, and that's what keeps you guys in business, because now they got a psychological imbalance,
Exactly.
a false perception of what reality
Right.
is,
Yeah.
and it's permeating itself. It
Yeah.
continues to grow.
And-
So
yeah.
we're not helping them.
Exactly. And it's going to be a manifestation of that sooner or later.
Yes, it is.
It's a
Absolutely.
contributory factor for all the college-related sexual assaults.
I agree.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's a free it's a free world out there.
Yeah, oh,
you
yeah.
might as well come to college and have fun. You may go to classes
listen,
sooner or later, but
now,
okay.
truth be told,
Truth be told,
you know,
yes,
that as Charles said, ain't nothing new under the sun. All right.
What's
right,
that?
right.
What's happening with the college
Yes.
now? As they say, even though I went to college in ancient days, all right,
It was happening then.
it was happening.
Oh, I
then,
know.
all right?
I
Wasn't
know.
as prevalent though.
Now,
But it was there.
Now,
It was
now,
there, and it was
now,
accepted
well,
too.
let me put
It
this
was
way.
covered up
Now-
a lot.
Yes.
Now, as
Uh-huh.
a male, we might have had to work a little harder. Okay, to get over.
But we got over.
But
We got over.
Okay.
If you were a football player,
Right.
Oh, okay.
or if
right.
you're a basketball
An
player,
athlete,
Right.
right.
you didn't have to work quite as hard.
Right.
And don't be a starter. You ain't work at all.
There you go.
Right.
There
Don't be
you
the
go.
quarterback, huh?
Right.
Yeah. But still, to that point, it was going on.
Right, of
It
course
was
it
not
was.
as widely accepted. Now, if one was caught, then he or she was looked upon as you're the worst thing in the world. How dare you denigrate our society?
Well,
Today,
if they even
Hold on a second.
complain, though.
Except again,
yeah,
and
yeah.
this is where the hypocrisy comes in.
Yes.
Again, if you were not an athlete,
yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
know, or
Or a large contributor.
right, a contributor.
Right.
Okay. All of a sudden, if you were one of those, well, you know,
You'll be all right. Smack
Yeah.
on your hand.
Right.
Don't do it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
But there's
You know.
another part to that too, because women more or less acquiesce
Yes.
to what was happening because of that power structure. That males
Mm-hmm.
pretty much dictate what we do. Okay, yo, he likes me. Okay, so and that was that culture that we allowed to get out of control. Instead of speaking out and saying something, we just have allowed it to go because it shouldn't be epidemic the way it is on college campuses. But we haven't done anything to address the issues.
Not at all.
We haven't talked about it. We haven't set up things to do to stop that, to make males, not make males, you can't make anybody do anything, but at least train them, teach them
Right.
to be more respectful
Right.
of females, because in their minds they don't have to be, because hey, females, they there anyway. They're gonna pursue us. They're gonna be at parties. They're probably gonna drink. They're gonna make themselves appear like whores and sluts because that's what they deserve. Because the mindset and the mentality that goes along with that to make it okay,
Right.
you know, and that's why a lot of women take it, because if they speak out, even when they are raped, okay, they think that no one's going to believe them. They're going to say, well, why are you there anyway? There's an interesting story on National Public Radio recently about a young woman who had a friend who happened to be a male. He was a star football player. He was. But they were friends. They had a platonic relationship because they were like brother and sister. Well, she went to a party at his apartment. Things kind of got out of hand. She drank. He raped her. It was not consensual. She was devastated because, first of all, this is my friend who took advantage of me. So, long story short, she did report it actually, but she was talked about and put down. Detective who happened to hear her confession and her report believed her, because so far it fell on deaf ears, because she's a female. Why were you there anyway? You know, a bunch of football players. Because that's her best friend. And up until that point, he treated her with respect. But it was like, oh, he with the boys now, so he gonna be like the guys, right? This detective went as far to set up a little sting. She calls him up and asks him, why did you do that to me? And that's how they got the conviction. Because he admitted on the phone. That's how they got it. Otherwise, another detective would have just said, oh, well, you shouldn't have been there. Goodbye, good luck, go get some counseling. See, there are times when we could speak up and speak out and do something, but we're not doing it. We're being just like the consensus, so to speak, of the rest of society. We're saying it's okay because let's blame the victim. And that's what we do a lot of.
We do a lot of that.
Yes, we do. And that's
Unfortunately.
unfortunate.
And
Yes.
because circumstances would say, because we want to ask the victim to make a decision
Yeah.
that they're not capable of making.
Exactly.
Because if the playing field was balanced, then you could hold me responsible for the decision which I make.
Exactly.
Now, I'm not making excuses for the playing field because
Right.
still,
Yeah.
ultimately, I'm held responsible for my
That's
decision.
right.
But a lot of time, I'm making a decision that I think is a genuine good decision based on bad information.
That's right. That's true.
Okay,
Mhm.
based
Based
on
on
years of bad
bad
information, based
information,
on a training that I've had that
Yes.
was incorrect.
Right.
Now, I don't excuse that.
Of course
okay,
not.
okay, I
No,
can't
no.
excuse it. But I also say you have to look at where they come from. Where did they get that understanding? You listen to some kids sometime and some of their dialogue and their ideology. You know, I'm thinking, where did you get that? Who
Yeah.
told you that?
Yeah.
Show me where you read that. You know, I'd like to see what publication that you
they didn't
that's
read
not
it.
where it come from.
No, because they didn't read anything
So
like
society,
that. Yeah,
we
they were
mimicking,
told,
and that's going right back to what we said
Exactly.
earlier.
Yes.
I'm mimicking what I see.
That's right.
You know, I see some of this stuff on television. I've always felt that a lot of time you take an idiot and teach him how to do what he just saw. You walk him through all the steps, and then I go back to your statement: nothing new under the sun. So when he commits the crime, you don't understand what. Well, you just taught him how to do it.
You just taught
You just
him.
played it out all on an hour-long show.
That's
You
right.
walked him step by step
Right.
through it,
Yeah.
and how to beat it
Yeah.
Right.
at the same
right.
time. But you're surprised.
Yeah.
Why should you
Why
be?
you should? It's just a matter of time
Just-
before it
gonna
manifests.
it's going to happen. It's going
That's
to
right.
happen. So
Yeah.
we're asking now. Here's the interesting thing. We're all subject to it. It's just based on where you start from, your foundation. Because I'm like Charles. I have rolled by in my early days and thought, I bet I can get out there before anybody know it. But my moral training said my mother would kill me. I'm not worried about the police.
Right,
My
exactly.
mother.
In fact, I hope they catch me
Right.
before she does.
Yeah,
You know,
right, yeah.
it would be a pleasure. I got a better chance.
I may have a life.
I might be able
I may
to
live.
because if
Exactly.
she gets to me first,
Right, I'm dead.
it's over.
all
I'm
over.
done.
Right.
So that's the moral compass.
Yeah.
But now, what
Yes.
happens when you look around today? The number of kids who don't have that centerpiece, they don't have that moral compass. That's why it seems it's worse now.
Yeah.
You go juvenile.
Absolutely.
I go to juvenile jail. There's a kid that's 10 years old. For what? Shot somebody. What? How do you even understand how to do that? That's part of it, but it's also what the environment in which he's
Exactly.
in.
That's right.
It's normal to do that. We
Right.
expose them to that. So we as a society have a huge responsibility still. As much as we progress,
Yeah.
I think we've gone back. We
We
regress as much as
regress.
we've
Oh, we
progressed.
absolutely have.
Because
Yes.
we have some of the same issues,
Yes.
and they're larger now than they were. Mental health. We recognize, but we got just as many, if not more, crazy people now than we had before.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I use that term loosely, but
Well,
right,
I
right.
understand what you're saying. And see, again, I come back to the hypocrisy of our society,
Yeah.
where we will talk, and I respect people's views, you know, about being against abortion, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But what a society is supposedly so staunchly against abortion, and yet and still, when that child is born, refuses to provide sufficient, nutrients, sufficient income to that mother, sufficient education,
Yeah.
so
I
that
agree.
child who did not
I think just the
ask
same.
to be brought into this
Exactly.
world
Yeah.
comes up.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're in many ways like the Philistines,
Yeah.
you know, where we talk a good game, you know,
We talk a good
but
game.
when it comes
Yeah.
to, if you want to call it, in scripture following the law,
Yes.
you know, we want to interpret it,
Yeah.
you know, the way that we want it to be, you know, and
I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
okay. Yeah, I know this caused you to call.
Oh yeah, I'm really upset about all.
Yeah,
I'm just-
exactly.
yeah.
You know, so part of what we, from my point of view, need to do is to get real, to own those. What do they call it? The sins of the father. Okay, that we need to own those. And I keep coming back and saying that in many ways, even though I had hoped by this time in life to be able to pass my black banner, on to the next generation. I'm
Yeah.
finding that with the craziness that some of our young people, the misinformation that they have, the lack of information about who they are and what they're about and whose they are, that I'm saying, okay, I guess I'm going to have to carry that banner a little bit longer, you know. And so I think that we still have, and I'm hoping that we are supporting these young people in the Black Lives Matter movement, because I really look at that, if you want to call it, as the new civil rights, you know. And we're looking at not just what the responsibility of the police is, but what the responsibility of ourselves are, of our community. And I think until we look at that, you know, and this may not be the best example, but be brave enough, like that mother in Baltimore that went upside her son's head, you know, when she saw him out there acting a fool, and be able to say, listen, you know, I'm not having it.
Exactly.
You know? And sometimes we may need to go to those lengths in order to save our young people.
Oh, absolutely. And we have to be proactive because we are crisis oriented. We don't really want to do something about an issue until it becomes a crisis. Well, at that point, it's already out of hand. And then what we do at that point is basically kind of put a Band-Aid on it, because we don't get to the ideology of it. We don't get to the beginning, the foundation of it. And that's where we need to start. We need to start sooner when they're little and give them that good foundation of morality and a good foundation of a strong sense of self, and center the morality part around it, because there are just certain things, if you have a strong sense of self, that you're just not going to do. I'm just not going to hang around on a street corner, because you know what? I know God put me here on earth to become a doctor, dentist, a lawyer, a minister, a teacher. You know, I think there are just some things that need to be instilled in children at the earliest ages possible. And it's not, because if you do set that strong foundation earlier on, when the children age, they're going to be bombarded with these things that are just totally against what they're trying to be, and they won't have any ego strength, as we say, to stop themselves from indulging in it. In fact, they'll just follow along. So we need to create kids who are self-sufficient and self-manageable.
But what you're talking about is family.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
And that means that we have got to take some time to go back and reinforce the family.
That's right.
So we got to get surrogate families if we have to.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
takes a village to raise a child. We got to get to that point, because if it's not happening, because he or she needs that's critical information that they need to be able to compete in the new global world that we're dealing with. If they're missing that, puts them at a disadvantage. Now it feeds into all these other things that are Band-Aids for a lack of understanding, for pain that I have because I don't know and I don't know where to get it. So I do all these other things.
So we make them perpetrators and victims. That's basically what we're generating.
Absolutely. That's
perpetrators and victims.
That's a Band-Aid for a situation that we didn't correct. Now it is, and I always like to say in that situation, it is on that individual child to grasp this information. Okay, now if you don't get it, then you become a statistic, and I do all I can to help you. But once you get in certain categories, there's nothing else I can do for you. Now, the thing that I think is critical is giving them the enough information to make good decisions. Okay, now once you choose your path, there's not much else I can do with you. I have to help you in the path you've chosen.
That's right.
Okay, but giving, what I think happens a lot of time, and from what I hear, they don't have a good beginning. They again, some outside force is teaching them. It's not happening at home. And you talk about absolutely, it's not their fault.
We don't pick our parents.
No, we don't. We just got to go from there. So influences from around us are critical. We don't hear as much about the spiritual involvement. We hear very little about that. We don't hear about the responsibility of parents. You know, we talk about the responsibility of kids a lot, which I agree with. But I also tell when I speak with parents, you have a responsibility too.
Absolutely.
In fact, that is your responsibility.
Okay,
that is your responsibility. And then we to segue off of that, what we're doing, parents, we tend to want to make them comfortable and make them happy. We don't want them to have bad times. Well, I'm a different kind of parent.
I'm not that
I
way
want
either.
I
I'm
want
looking
difficult
at you like,
times.
what you talking about?
I
What
want
you
them
talking
to not
about,
eat.
Willis?
Yeah. Because I grew up in a different time. I mean, hey, listen, I want you can't eat.
You know what?
I don't want you to have no heat.
Hey, it's better if I whip your behind than that cop out
Absolutely.
there. Okay?
And that's what I
Yeah.
grew up understanding. You either you're going to do it the way we do it here,
Yeah.
or you can go downtown and you can do it the way they want you to do it.
Right.
But I've been downtown. Don't want, no, I'd rather do it this way. Yeah. But that's not, so you're getting a 10, 12-year-old kid, so we're going to call the police. I don't care.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Because what they're going to do is what I'm accustomed to anyway. The way you reach them is by doing something different.
Right.
So you know, and I work with kids, and one of the things that we try to say to my team when we're working with them is, listen, if once you get to know him or her, then you know what they're accustomed to. Then you got to be different than that.
Yes.
You got to be a difference maker. If they're used to somebody yelling at them, you got to come a different way
Yes.
in order to get their attention. Now, unless you just want to,
No.
you want to
You're not gonna
connect,
get anywhere.
you will not connect.
No.
Okay, because you sound like, oh well, I'm accustomed to that.
Yeah.
But when you come at them on that other
agree
side,
with you.
a more human side,
yeah.
you know, then I think you connect. Now,
Right.
it doesn't mean we won't yell, but we already connected now.
but you
we
have-
connected now, so I can yell now. Yeah.
But I love you. Though.
You just
I care about
see,
you.
don't
Yeah.
hear that. And I think when you're working with kids, that I think that's something they need to understand that. And I think accountability is critical.
Yes.
That I hold you accountable for this. I'm not going to criticize you because you didn't get it, but how can I help you get it? And if you don't give any effort at all, then that's different. I got a problem with that.
Right.
Yeah.
But when I'm trying my best to expose you, I'm trying my best to put you in these places or get that's what you need,
Right.
and you refuse that. This is the sad part. At some point, I have to make a decision. Do I continue to try to help you, and you're not, or do I go over here where I'm going to get better results? And I hate, and I've always been one to leave that kid saddens me to no end. I am so disappointed, but I've come to realize I can't help you unless you want to be helped.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you don't want to be helped, I'm wasting time.
That is a truism that is never going to
And that hurts though. To me, it hurts when I have to say, okay, I tell you what, call me when you're ready.
Call me when
You
you're
know,
ready.
I have to go over
I'll
here,
be here for you.
and that hurts because you hate to leave them, but that's where that choice is on them. You know, so it's
See, sometimes
put the onus back on
them. Yeah.
You're responsible for your
for whatever happens to you. Yeah, and your healing. I think that's a good point.
Absolutely,
and you know, just like individuals, some people just have to learn by some hard knocks.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah,
and we want to, love them out of it, but sometimes the best love is to say, let them go, and just to know that you're there, when they need that hand coming back up.
Yeah, they're gonna need it.
Exactly.
They're gonna need it.
One of the things, and both of you triggered it off, that I remember a scene from Roots when Kunta Kinte was born, and you all will remember this.
Of course.
When his father held him up,
Yes.
to the universe, and said,
than myself.
"Behold, the only thing greater than you." And somehow we need to, in many different ways, say that to our to our generation.
Yes, we do.
Over time.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
And so, if we can do that, and just as both of you said, if you start, at the roots, at the beginning,
Right.
then we have our best chance.
Right. Absolutely.
The key, I think, is getting the information out there.
Right.
I always say, we know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it in some places. We're just not doing it enough, and we're not doing it where it's really needed. And of course, it does need to be done as soon as possible. But for instance, I always refer to Dr. Godfrey Canada and his Harlem Project. He's doing amazing work. We know we need to take what we already know from an experiential standpoint or from just it's happening. He's doing it from basically from cradle to college. He's taking people that he realizes you got to start when they're in the womb. Because I often tell people, I didn't go to school and become educated in how to be a parent. Which society did you get your certificate in? Where did you get yours?
I don't have mine yet.
Okay. That's a failure of society.
That is the
Okay,
thing, sir.
because we do not, you know, when we find out, when DCF get involved,
Yeah, exactly.
and now it's a crisis. You see my point?
Yeah.
Crisis
Crisis,
oriented.
yeah.
You got to go to parenting class. What in the heck is a 6 weeks parenting class gonna help me when I don't beat my child half to death? And I'm using drugs,
But-
and I
but
got this baby daddy and this baby.
Right. Well,
How
see,
is that gonna help?
Well, see, back
Yeah,
in the day,
yeah.
we had Dr. Grandma, okay, and we had Dr. Grandpa, and Professor Auntie, okay, and we had
Sister Lula.
yeah, right, okay,
Sister
that
Lula, yeah.
that could say, child, you don't need to,
Yeah.
child, you don't need to beat him like that,
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you what I did, okay, and our generations learned.
Yeah.
But again, sometimes I got to keep on coming back to history.
Yeah.
What was done to us in slavery, and again, this
yeah.
is not excusing and saying
Of course
it's
not.
the white
No.
man did it, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But the effective way that they cut our ability to talk to each other,
Yeah.
to be able to speak the same language.
Yeah.
Now, the generational knowledge, has been systematically cut away, so that we don't have that transmission of knowledge.
No.
And so our children, just as both of you are saying, wind up, growing up, as I said, perhaps not even book smart, but let's say street smart, which a lot of it is survival oriented, but also a lot of misinformation,
Right.
and not having what the old folks would say is motherwit,
Yeah.
and that is that practical
Exactly.
knowledge
Right.
about how to not only survive,
Yeah.
but to thrive.
Exactly.
And so we still have, unfortunately, a lot of work to do.
We got unfortunately a lot of
yeah.
work to do, but knowing that we know there's certain things that we can do gives me hope. I worked in the prison system for almost 25 years, and I can't tell you the number of men that I met. I miss my kids. I miss my kids. I said, what you miss about your kids? And I'm playing the devil's advocate, because if you in here, you probably want hanging out with your kids doing anything fathers should be doing anyway. So I get my little handy dandy handout for them.
Okay.
It's got what it takes to be a father on one side, sperm fertilizing the egg, what it takes to be a dad, a whole list of things. So, and they read that, because a lot of them don't realize you miss your kids because you locked up. Because when you were out there,
They were still there.
yeah, they were still there. You weren't spending
You
time.
spent
You
time
might have
with
dropped some money off at mama's house or something, but you were out there doing your thing that brought you in here so I can meet you. Because they have no clue.
Yeah.
How many baby mamas you got? That's what they like to tell you. Oh, that's a bragging thing. See, we've kind of created a culture in a culture. It's okay for me to sire kids. And it's okay if I go sell drugs to take care of them. But the thing is, you're not being a father. It takes other things to be a father. Do you read to your children? Do you take them for a walk? Do you talk to them? Do you go to teachers' night visit? It's a whole list of things. And a phone number for them to call to get more ideas. So we don't have the information readily, nor the teaching and training to give them. So when do we do this training and teaching? Kind of like what Dr. Godfrey Canada did. You got to start early. And I was driving around just the other day, and I'm hearing all this bad news on television about this 2-year-old shot his father and killed him. I mean, that was an accident. And you just hear about all the stuff about black males being shot by cops and all that. And I'm looking at all these churches, because when I do in-home counseling now, I go to the problems. So I'm thinking, all these churches, that could be where we start. They can start programs to help do some outreach and get people in there. Because to me, that's what real community is about. You in a community, offer your parishioners or offer your members something to come in there.
Exactly.
And then make them responsible and bring some people in there. And if they don't come, go out and do some outreach. We love for people to come out there on the street and talk to us.
Right.
We'll tell them all about stuff we know. And then, okay, why don't you come over here and we got some stuff to tell you. Because there are people out there suffering. They really are. They need attention.
You make a good point too. When we talk about, and a lot of what we've been talking about is that youth.
Wow.
I am concerned about where we are in society today.
Yeah.
Now I have a burning desire for the youth, but
Yes.
I'm concerned about where we are right now.
I am
And we've
too.
got to make some drastic changes
Yeah.
where we are now to try to not save, but be able to change. You know, because a lot of these people, a lot of people out here are just giving up hope.
Yeah.
They just don't. They don't see a lifeline anymore. And it's still one there,
Yeah.
but I got to show you how to get to
Just
it.
has to-
Yeah, but it's there.
Yeah.
And so that's what I hear more than anything else. And the most interesting thing, to your point, I hear on the street trying to take care of that young kid.
Yeah.
Son, don't do that, so you don't end up like this.
Yeah.
Don't make these decisions. Or that's great stuff. But what about you?
Yeah.
Where you are? Let's get you out of where you are and become an example of what you're talking about.
Okay.
Then I can look up and say, "There's an example." That's what I want to be like. I can get out of this situation because I watched him do that. That's what I'm hoping for now. Can we become real,
Right,
living
right,
examples of
right.
what we hope for?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Can I mirror that? Can I do that?
Right.
Can you look at me and still see hope? Or do you look at me and say, "Oh man, you failed miserably"? You know, because to my point, and what I just recently spoke about, the beginning, birth, and the end, death, and the dash in between.
Yes.
What did you do?
Yeah, that's right.
What kind of dash do we have? A long dash, small dash, fat dash,
That's
skinny
true.
dash?
Yeah.
What did you do while you were here?
Right. That's true.
And I constantly ask myself, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, what impact are you having? Are you having an impact?
Yeah.
What change are you making, not only for myself, but for others? So the challenge is still there. The youth is definitely, if we can correct this, we can give them a better chance. You know, but we got to take care of this right here because
Exactly.
this is the epidemic.
Yeah, it is an
in my mind,
Right.
that if we
Yeah.
can correct some of this,
Yeah.
if we can get these people. Now we're not gonna get them all. Let's be honest.
No,
But
no.
but we can have some impact on that number.
Yeah.
Then the youth that we're concerned with got a much better chance now. They
Yes.
got a better track
Yes.
coming up because they got people they can relate to.
Yeah.
They can say,
That's
okay,
true.
I can see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I've been there. Let me tell you what you don't
Yeah.
want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
More of that. And,
Yeah.
and this, and as you indicated, it's happening, but not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough.
And I like the president's initiative about
Yes.
ideas on how to help.
On how to help.
males,
Yeah, right.
Because that's where the critical need is.
That is
it
indeed.
really is. So our young females can have good fathers.
Yes.
And that's very critical to
husbands.
that family unit.
Yes, it
It's
is.
all messed up right now.
Yeah, it is.
And I believe because we're having this conversation that we're going to be the start of that revolution. Because that's what we need.
That's what we have.
We need a
Exactly.
revolution.
We do.
And we need one now.
Not an evolution, but a revolution.
Revolution. Oh, yeah,
Not-
revolution.
revolution.
No, I said revolution.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Not an evolution,
Not
but
an
a
evolution.
revolution.
Revolution.
We
Well,
need that.
To put
yeah.
to put a period on this conversation, I have to say this has been our longest video broadcast of. No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing of any of the broadcasts that we have had. And the interesting thing is that Charles and I were exchanging glances, and I think both of us said, "Listen, we don't want this conversation to stop because it's a critical, essential conversation."
Yes.
And I'm hoping that we will continue not only the conversation,
Yes.
but as you all were ending up talking about a revolution, that we continue
Yes.
to move
Yeah.
in that direction.
Yes.
So
yes.
with that, Charles, I'm gonna throw it back over to you.
Yeah. A couple of things that we didn't talk about, which I hope that we can, because part of that was the conversation that you were just talking about, was that I wanted to talk about the young men that was at Florida State. One is suspended, and the other one was kicked off the team for punching punching the young. Well, actually, both of them, I think, punched the young lady. And I remember I was wanted to talk about that because I'm very disappointed in the sports talk show hosts and their comments on that.
Yes.
I don't think that they're being realistic, and I think they're just trying to be politically correct.
Correct. Yes.
And then another thing I want to talk about was Bruce Jenner, which we, which we I want to talk about that with Bruce. I mean with Vince, with Vince, but and more so from the standpoint of just people say that you're being disrespectful when you're addressing him as Bruce, and I wanted to talk about what about what I believe and you know what I believe. So, but anyway. Hopefully that when you come back we can continue because I think it's very important that we can talk about that because that is in conjunction with the young men at Florida State and what's going on. Would love to hear your opinion on it.
Oh.
So you two would have to let us know when you can come back on. So we'd love to have both of you back.
Me too.
Come
All
back.
right.
Okay.
Let's do it next Friday then.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, I got to go to prison. I got a prison ministry next Friday.
Friday after that?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We'll do it. I'd love to be
Let's
here.
do that. Well, it's time for us to sign off. Family, you've been privileged to an extended version of the Journey 2020. But as you can see, the conversation that we've been having is a vital one, a critical one that we need to be having in just about every living room and in every family in our country. So with that, we have to sign off at this point. We hope that you're going to continue this conversation beyond this video cast, and that you not only continue the conversation, but think in terms of what you can actually do to start and to keep this evolution and revolution going on. So with that, just want to say that the journey is from me to you and from you to me so that we can reach together a higher level. Good night. See you next week.